He raised a crystal flute, tapped it with a ring that could pay off a hospital wing, and joked that his wife might need 2 seats on the jet this year. Laughter slid across the marble like oil. I stood there in a dress that fit everywhere except my pride, smiling, so my face wouldn't crack. Tell me honestly, if it were you, what would you have done? My name is Bliss, and for 7 years I was married to a man who could buy a skyline but couldn't afford basic kindness. Femi Lagos, golden boy, headline maker, handshake that moved markets. People saw the photos, the galas, the drivers idling outside restaurants with menus heavier than the food. They didn't see the doctor telling me my hormones were on strike, my stress levels circling the drain, my body carrying the weight of jokes I didn't consent to. You know what I mean? At home, love came with an accountant. I'd push vegetables around a plate while Femi counted calories that weren't his. Try the next size up, he'd say, at a fitting like it wasn't a blade slipped between ribs. I can take a joke, I can't take a pattern. And that night with his friends Toby and Olu, when he performed me like a punchline, and the room rewarded him. I walked down the corridor of our perfect life, closed our bedroom door, sat with my back against it, and let the kind of quiet tears fall that don't smudge mascara because they've learned how to behave. Then I stood up, faced the mirror, and said it where someone could hear me. Me. I won't do this for you. I'll do it for me. Everything changed, not because I became smaller, but because I stopped shrinking. Sunrise walks when the city is soft. A trainer who looked me in the eye and didn't flinch at my belly. Mindfulness in a community center that smelled like floor cleaner and hope. I learned to breathe lower than my panic, to eat, to fix the storm inside me, to look at my reflection without bargaining. The first time I didn't look away. That felt like a miracle you have to earn. Meanwhile, Femi stayed Femi. Business trips, flashbulbs, an orbit of actresses who laughed a little too hard. He'd toss a shopping bag on the bed, size too small, and say, motivation. He meant it like a gift. It landed like a threat. Pattern interrupt. I stayed. Not because I was weak, but because love will make you try longer than is reasonable. I told myself he was stressed. I told myself I had changed. I told myself kindness might be contagious if I kept giving it. But kindness without boundaries is just self-abandonment dressed up like grace. One morning, sweat on my face, hair twisted up, sports bra, digging the whole new me cliché, I caught my own gaze and felt something honest. Pride. Not billboard pride, not before and after pride, just the feeling of keeping a promise to myself. Femi stepped in, glanced at me, smirked. Well, finally paying off. You don't look half as bad as before. Half as bad. I didn't throw a brush. I didn't scream. I turned back to the mirror and felt a switch click. After that, I stopped rearranging my life around his calendar. Saturday mornings, I joined a women's circle at a little studio above a mechanic's shop. Teachers, bankers, a widow, with a laugh that healed the room, a college athlete rehabbing a knee. We sat on yoga mats that had seen better days and told the truth. We spoke about bodies, yes, but also bosses' boundaries, and the way a woman's laughter is measured for acceptability. One day, Amaka, a therapist with eyes that saw the long road, asked me to help lead a session. Not on weight loss, on rebuilding trust with your body after betrayal. I said yes. My hands shook. I did it anyway. A seed planted. Femi noticed I was less available. Fewer photos, fewer dinners, fewer rehearsed laughs. He tried to fix it the way he fixed everything. Money. Cars I didn't need, bracelets that closed like cuffs, a surprise weekend in Cape Town with an itinerary and no conversation. When that didn't pull me back, he tried control. We need to talk about us, he said, leaning in the doorway, while I did my makeup for a community event. I'm finally being true to myself, I answered. I'm living for me. He squinted like I'd switched languages. You think you're better than me now? No, I said. I'm better than the way you treated me. If it were you, what would you have said right there with the mirror lights humming and your spine deciding who it belongs to? A month later, I filed for divorce. I didn't do it to punish him, I did it to rescue me. And here's the twist you're not expecting. The thing that flipped the power in the story wasn't a scandal or a secret lover or a dramatic courtroom monologue. It was a spreadsheet. Yeah, that happened. Our women's circle turned into a pilot program, then into a business plan with actual math. We built a curriculum with doctors and therapists, created a model for companies with large female workforces, pitched outcomes like fewer sick days, better morale, higher retention. I put on real shoes, walked into glass rooms where I used to sit quietly, and sold something I believed in because it had saved my life. Gabriel, a logistics nerd with good coffee and no ego, came on as operations. He kept reminding me, you're the brand, be the brand. People assumed he was the twist. He wasn't. Respect felt radical, that's all. Then the city released an RFP for a wellness anchor in a new development. Femi's development, a mirrored tower complex with a gym he'd never actually use. He wanted a foreign name to impress the council, wanted local impact and data. Our proposal landed on his desk without my personal name on the cover because I'd learned to sign as Empower. Her Lagos, not as Mrs. Anyone. He read it, liked it, championed it in a meeting, and blinked when he flipped to the final page and saw the founder. Me. Stick around, because what happened next will blow your mind. Before the deal moved, I was asked to speak at a charity gala, not as Femi's wife, as a guest of honor for the work we did with women rebuilding after harassment and burnout. The chandelier light fell like stars. I stood backstage, palms damp, told myself what I tell every woman at intake. You are not here to perform, you are here to tell the truth. I walked out. The applause sounded like disbelief learning how to clap. I talked about shame, about whispering sorry to chairs, when you sit about apology without change being a press release you deliver to your own mirror. When I finished, there was a beat. Then the room moved like weather. Faces I used to read for approval looked at me with respect. And in the back, Femi clapped, not late, not early, just human. He found me in the hallway. Bliss, he said, voice low, careful, like he was learning not to break things. I hurt you. I thought money could fix anything. I was wrong. True, I said, not cruel, just accurate. I want to make it right. You can't make it right, I said, but you can stop making it worse. He switched to business, because men like him treat feelings like a country with bad roads. Your proposal, he said, empower her Lagos. It's good. It is, I said. You should anchor the development. I'm considering all options, I answered, because nothing tastes sweeter than not being rushed by someone who used to rush your worth. And then the second twist, quieter than gossip, louder than glass. Years earlier, when Femi needed collateral for his first expansion, I'd put up my late father's small parcel at the city's edge. We paid it off, it came back to me. Femi forgot I didn't. Gabriel found a zoning clause, a community health variance for developments hosting certified wellness centers. We acquired neighboring lots slowly, no press, just patient money and clean paperwork. We built our flagship there under my father's trees, not in Femi's mirror palace. The city fast-tracked us because we hit impact targets. Corporate sponsors called us, including the conglomerate Femi wanted for naming rights. They chose us. He didn't see it coming. He couldn't have because he wasn't looking at me at all. Do you think that's fair? That people only recognize you after you've already turned yourself into a headline they can't ignore? When the divorce moved from maybe to inevitable, Femi asked to meet in my office. Not the mansion, not a hotel lounge. My office with a wall of photos from our first cohort and couches where women tell the truth. He stood there, and felt the gravity shift without anyone announcing it. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "I'll sign what's fair." "Fair," I repeated, letting the word sit in the room like it finally belonged. "I need you to know I'm proud of you," he added, and the surprise was I believed him. "And I'm sorry." "I accept that," I said, "and I'm not coming back." He nodded. No pitch, no last-ditch vacation, no promise engraved on a platinum bracelet. Just acceptance. "You want me to say I took every penny?" I didn't. I took what I was entitled to, and I took custody of my peace. I kept my name because I never lost it. No tell-all, no bonfire of tailored suits. I signed, went home, and slept like the air no longer hid knives. The weeks after were quiet in the best way. The Saturday Circle showed up with stew stories, a playlist that reminded my spine it belonged to me. We launched our app so women far from our center could still get help. We partnered with clinics, we hired coaches who understood the chemistry of burnout and the math of childcare. I started lifting heavier than my old shame. Some days I missed him. Grief is not a straight road. It loops, it taps you on the shoulder in grocery aisles, at stoplights, when a song you slow danced to sneaks in like your phone has a sense of humor. Life doesn't stitch itself closed at the perfect lyric. Olu texted and asked if I'd meet Femi for coffee. I said yes because closure is easier to carry when it has a handle. We sat in a small cafe where the barista spelled my name right because she listened. Femi looked smaller, not thin, smaller like performance had stepped off his back. He didn't try charm, he didn't audition for forgiveness. He talked about the quiet house, the way work tasted like cardboard, the fact that he'd started walking at dusk and noticing trees. I asked, "Do you think you can be happy without me?" Not a trap, a real question. He stared at the cup, then the door, then me. "I don't know," he said, "but I have to try." That was the truth. Not redemption, not ruin, reality. People don't transform on a headline schedule. They circle the block, they trip over the same crack twice, they get bored with their worst habit, and then relapse on a Tuesday. I didn't forgive him with fireworks. I forgave him in installments. A quiet plan across 100 days where I stopped letting his voice narrate my worth. What about the business bliss? Did you ever anchor his tower? Numb. We anchored our own paid living wages, offered free classes on Sundays. Did Gabriel and I ever date? No. We built something without needing romance to justify a woman succeeding. Did Femi try to buy us out once? I said no with a smile and a contract that could bench press a bulldozer. The last time I saw him was at a community awards night. We funded uniforms for a girls' football team, bright colors that made them look like possibility. He stood in the back again. After he came up and said, "You did good." I said, "We did," pointing at the girls who were jumping like joy had a trampoline. He put a hand over his heart, nodded left. No speech, no plea, just a man learning that letting go is a muscle you have to train. Now I know some of you are yelling at the screen. "Bliss, you should have taken him for everything." Or "People can change, you should have tried longer," or "He didn't cheat. He just body-shamed you to the edge of your sanity, as if emotional harm is a lesser wound because it doesn't leave a bruise you can photograph. Do you think that's fair? That we measure damage by how visible it is? Here's what I know. Shame doesn't make people smaller, it makes them disappear. Respect isn't a perk that comes with a black card, it's the only currency that doesn't crash. And love without safety, is just proximity with better lighting. I left that marriage not because I stopped loving the man he was once, but because I started loving the woman I am now. I built something that turns pain into programs, programs into jobs, jobs into dignity. I learned to take up space, at tables, on stages, in my own skin, and I stopped apologizing to chairs. So if it were you, If the person who promised to cherish you started counting your calories like they were counting your worth, would you stay? Would you fight? Would you leave? And for anyone who hears Femi in themselves, who said the cruel thing, who laughed along with the room, and felt it land later in the dark, what would accountability look like if it wasn't just flowers and a speech? I'll leave you with this picture. Late at night, Lagos exhales generators quiet, and the sky above the bridge looks like velvet someone spilled diamonds on. I sit with tea that tastes like memory, and I think about two versions of me. The girl who locked herself in a bedroom so tears wouldn't ruin the party, and the woman who stood under crystal lights and told the truth. They're both me. The difference is simple and impossible. I chose myself. If this story lit something up in you, say it out loud in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what you would have done. Tell me if you think I was too harsh or not harsh enough. Share this with a friend who needs the reminder that respect is not negotiable. And if you've got your own moment, the day you stopped apologizing to furniture, the minute you said, "For me, not for you," write it down below. Someone will read it and feel less alone. Hit like if you believe respect beats money every time. Subscribe for more real stories told without sugarcoating, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take up space. You earned it.